Good afternoon. Today, I'll be walking through my automobiles case study. The focus on how forecasting methods apply to fuel sales and why choosing the right approach matters in a market with strong seasonal swings, competitive pressures, and operational constraints. I'll highlight the model selection, key short and long term factors, and when it's necessary to override the numbers with real world judgment. Per the Con framework, the Agrawal automobiles should stay in that top left corner. Fuel consumption is an existing product within an existing market. Using historical records with a time series approach will be the most reliable. Historical records will also show various changes in consumer behaviors based off of outside factors. I will discuss the exact formula in which to use for the time series in an upcoming presentation. So, what are some other companies? I chose Ford, Toyota, GMC, you name car company, their first intro into the EV market. So, automakers launching EVs. This was a new product with a little history. They relied on market research, customer panels, and feedback from similar launches. So that's why they're in the new market, no history, but existing products because of vehicles. So high uncertainty means early customer feedbacks are more useful than the time series. Next, I went with Black Diamond Equipment or North Face or Wild Country. This was just climbing gear, outdoor gear. So sometimes there's incremental changes, lighter helmets, stronger ropes, stuff like that. But for a major innovation like the original Camelot or the original Friends or now the Totems, the market is very competitive. So each of these companies are looking at the similar products from their competitors and going off of it. So they benefit more from their market research, looking at similar products, customer inputs, and competitor analysis. So which time series forecasting model would you choose? So I went with for all three of them, I would choose Winter's method with seasonality, triple exponential smoothing. It consistently delivered the lowest percentage error across petrol, diesel, and the HSB. The data clearly showed monthly swings, especially in diesel during the June to October, and then the surge in the October possible festival season. Winters was the only tested module that explicitly accounted for seasonal patterns. So diesel had strong seasonal variation, monsoon dip, post-monsoon surge. Winters handled that the best. Petrol had moderate seasonal effects. It captured the dips in the monsoon months and the gradual recoveries. And then HSP, it was incredibly volatile, almost daily swings. Other models produced errors up to around 40%, but Winters still produced the most reasonable forecasts under the high variability. So, in conclusion for that, Winters method was most appropriate for all three fuels. It balanced trend and seasonality, performed better than the moving averages or the simple smoothing, and even for highly volatile HSP, it remained the most reliable option. And just kind of showing some of what I got. So for HSP, my best I got from moving average was the 1 day. Petrol was 8 days, and diesel was 18 days. And that's again adjusting the duration of how many days that moving average is accounting for. Same with exponential smoothing. the double exponential smoothing, and then the triple. This is where I have the best right here for all three of them. Here's my forecasting summary. These are the things that I noted. So I had lowest petrol overall, not including winters. Lowest petrol overall and lowest diesel overall were both in the moving averages. One was an 8-day, one was an 18-day. The lowest HSP overall was the double smoothing. And then if you want to do, this is all based off percent errors. The lowest average for all three overall, that belonged to the single exponential smoothing with the alpha at 0.45. And then I wanted to look at the HSP. So this is the actual HSP price to see how actual volatile it is. Again, the 1-day moving average is the one I calculated was the best besides winters on calculating this. And you can see that the daily swings are it's extremely volatile. And then talking about those monthly swings, this is the weekday. Didn't really see that much of a change, but here you see this possible monsoon dip into these possible harvest festival surge in October. So massive dips. Everything I read said monsoon season is possibly. And then I have my forecast sheets. So it's based off the winters, off the solving. Back to the slideshow. So what other factors? So we talked a lot about it already, but beyond the forecasted numbers, they should weigh seasonal and weather effects. Sales data showed a sharp drop during the June to August monsoons, especially for diesel. Maybe farming equipment's not being used, transportation slowdown. The seasonal swings can be fully captured by the model alone. So using weather data and harvest calendars alongside forecasts helps adjust daily and monthly orders. When to prioritize these factors over the model, especially during monsoon or festival months when weather and events override historical patterns, for sure. And long-term factors, competition in the case study, it talked a lot about competition. So in 2016 alone, over 2,500 new fuel stations were open across India, raising the total to more than 56,000. If new stations open up near this one, demand could be diluted. So long-term strategy should include differentiation. So getting into maybe some service quality, loyalty programs, or convenience, just so the station maintains share even in a crowded market. And then again, when to prioritize these factors over the model, when competitors expand nearby or industry shifts occur, maybe new highways, new policies, these effects, these new things won't show up in the forecast until after sales have already been affected. So in conclusion, Winter's method with seasonality provided the most reliable baseline forecast for mine. But numbers, again, aren't enough. Weather patterns, harvest cycles, competitor expansion, policy changes, highway infrastructure are just as critical for decision making. The best approach is to use the winner's model for consistency, but stay flexible by layering in judgment and external factors. Thanks.